back. So I want to talk about Destiny 2. There's been a lot of information dropped today about what's happening with Destiny 2. The reveal was released and we saw a lot of information has come flooding in from different sources about what's happening with Destiny 2. Unfortunately for myself, the invitation for the event in LA didn't turn up. I don't know what happened. Maybe the invitation got lost somewhere, maybe got sent to the wrong address by Australia Post, or maybe even a dingo ate it, I don't know. But unfortunately it never turned up, so I wasn't able to attend the event in person, so I've had to follow a lot of the gaming news sites and various YouTubers today to get that information on Destiny 2. But I wanted to specifically talk about the Crucible or the PvP side of the game. I will cover off the PvE side in some future videos, so just keep an eye out for them over the coming days and weeks as I talk more about Destiny 2. So when Luke Smith got up on stage and started discussing how Bungie was going to rebalance the PvP sandbox, it was announced that they're moving away from the more traditional 6v6 game types and moving to a 4v4 game mode players as such. Alarm bells started to go off my head when I heard that. I thought to myself, couldn't possibly mean what I think it means. Unfortunately for myself, those alarm bells were very much correct, and it was the news that dropped this afternoon that no dedicated servers would be available for the PC version, and more than likely we won't see it for the console versions either. It did leave me scratching my head a little bit to why they weren't implementing dedicated servers, especially for the PC community. The current Destiny community has been very vocal about the issues with Destiny 1, especially in regards to the latency, the lag, the manipulation of connections via DDoS, and while they've discussed measures to try and make the game more focused on connection, at the same point matchmaking is always something that's going to take over at some point in time, because you can't have it so that high skilled players are always going up against low skilled players. It will just be completely devastating for them to be constantly stomped in the ground. Now, the other issue is as player count drops off, the matchmaking or the game itself has to widen that neck to drag in more players from further afield to fill in the teams. Now the concern is we're going to end up in the exact same position or problems that we are with the current version of Destiny 1, and this is more than likely going to frustrate a lot of players, and it may end up very well being a very poor decision from Bungie not going with dedicated servers. This is only compounded in countries like here in Australia, where a great deal of people don't have very good internet. Now with that smaller bandwidth with voice communications, the actual game itself, a lot of those problems are still gonna basically rear their ugly head again. And I think that it's going to be a huge deal breaker for a good part of the PC community. One thing the PC community has been very, very vocal about is having dedicated servers for a lot of their games. And while I can understand they wanted to focus more on making this a great PC version, like we're having the 4K unlocked frame rate, and not going away from just having a simple, cheap PC port, the PC crowd can be very vocal, and their opinion can make a great deal of noise and can make or break a PC game as such. And as we've seen in the past, previous games that don't have the infrastructure in place in the background can make it or break it as such. And I understand they want to have this nice looking, great, fantastic game, but that's not necessarily the primary thing they should be concerned with. Now I'm going to include a link below in the description talking about a PC Gamer article where they've talked to Bungie about a great deal of this that we've just discussed. The other thing that I've also seen is a great deal of the majority competitive games these days, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty, Titanfall 2, Rainbow Six Siege. These are all running on some sort of dedicated server environment. Now Bungie has talked about, and Activision have talked about, how they want to make Destiny that competitive game, just like these other ones. But if they want to step into that arena, I think that they really need to take that leap into dedicated servers. It feels like they're more cost cutting at this point in time than they are concerned about their community, and it's easier just to cut out that and have less cost behind them than it is to actually implement it. On the flip side, we are seeing that the PC version is going to get 60 FPS, custom keyboard mappings, so this is all great stuff. Unfortunately for the console people, you're once again locked into 30 FPS. Even I think for the Scorpio and for the PlayStation Pro, you're going to be locked into that 30 FPS. While this is not a major issue, it would have been nice to see that the console version stepped up to that 60 FPS. As it's becoming the standard for, I think, the majority of games these days to have it 60 FPS. So, the other thing that we also saw was that the announcement is on the 8th of September, the PC version will not be released at the same time as the console versions. We don't have a date yet, we don't know yet when that is going to be released. So, I don't know how much longer or later this is going to be released. They talked about Battle.net, and the anti-cheat systems is hopefully going to be effective against, especially on the PC versions. Anti-cheat is something you've got to have well established and well in place before the game is actually released. We saw this with The Division, where the PC version didn't have very much or anything to do with anti-cheat in place when the game was released. So I hope that Battle.net is able to effectively be utilized to prevent a lot of the cheating that can occur. Because one of the things that will definitely be pushed within the boundary of the PC is the cheaters and hackers will try to find a way around the current anti-cheat systems to be able to exploit a lot of these exploits or holes in the game itself. And that's just extremely disappointing to see that when it happens. So from that perspective, there's a lot of concerns I have about the game at this point in time. Some of the good points that I did see today was the change to the weapon system. And they're definitely a welcome change away from what Destiny 1's current system are. I mean, the move away from the traditional primary, special and heavy is good. We now see that the system is based around a primary kinetic, a secondary elemental weapon, and then the heavy weapons as such are now all thrown together. So shotguns, fusions, snipers, rocket launchers are all in the same category, which lends more thought to about how you want to spec your loadout, how you want to be able to go into a match. And it's not so much now seeing a lot of the spam that we see when heavy comes up, or the supers are always very spammy. I'm also very excited to find out more information. We keep seeing this weapon mod on a lot of the weapons. I want to know how that is going to change up the game. How's this weapon mod going to be? Are we going to put suppressors on our weapons? Are we going to be able to put extended mags? Is this going to change up? Or is this just more purely cosmetic things? We are able to put shaders and that on. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to more information about how the weapons are going to look. The new supers are extremely nice. The Arc Strider, the Sentinel, the Dawnblade are all great new supers and a great way of revamping it. And it's great to see how these new subclasses will change up the meta. The inclusion of the new abilities also freshens up the game. The other thing is, it looks like a lot of that super spam is also trying to be reduced. They're trying to move away from the more traditional spamminess of supers being constantly within the game and be more thought out about how you use your super. The time to kill in the game at this point in time seems to be a lot slower than it is in the current game, but that could change with the beta and the final game. So at this point in time, that's a wait and see just how that's going to work. The new UI changes are definitely a great step forward, and the information it shows you regarding who has their super, when various ammo is being picked up, or a location of where something is planted is also really good. My concern is that this can still be overlooked and missed in the heat of battle, and I would like to see a way for it to be more visible to the players. The other thing that really concerned me was the radar system is not really moving away from the traditional Halo-based radar. You look at any of the competitive shooters these days, they have a visual representation of the terrain around you, so you have an idea of where you are when you're looking up at the radar. And this is one of the things that has always bugged me about, especially Destiny, is the way the radar system works. I was hoping they were going to change it up for Destiny 2, but it doesn't look like it is. And I hope that they've fine-tuned it a lot better now, because the way the current radar system works in Destiny 1 is people can show up on your radar at a very, very long range away. So I'm hoping that isn't being improved. I was hoping also the sound would be also improved, so you could do a little bit of sound whoring and hear when somebody's coming up on you. But from what I can tell at the moment, I don't know if that's something that's important in the game from their perspective. So I doubt it. We've seen much differences in the actual sound itself. But I'm excited to wait and see what the beta brings and what new information we'll see as part of this. I think a lot of this information that will be released as part of E3 and in the coming months before the release of the actual game itself. From my perspective, the Destiny universe is one I love a great deal. It's expansive, there's a lot of great things about it, and it has a lot of background in it, especially about the Grimoire and about what's happening in the universe itself of Destiny. It also has a fantastic community. I think it has one of the best communities that I've seen around, and I admire a great deal how that community works together. But while I've had a great deal of excitement about today in the news, my concerns about what I've heard today are overriding a lot of that excitement. And so my primary worry is if this is going to be a repeat of what we've seen with many games where the gaming developer has been pushed to release a game far too early than it should be. And my worry is that the shockwave effects it will have on the game in the future. But I guess only time will tell if the decisions made will be for the good or bad. But I will be covering more Destiny over the following days and following weeks leading up to the release of the game. If you want to subscribe to see about more information, please do. Otherwise, thank you very much for taking the time. Leave some comments below if you want to tell me about what your thoughts about Destiny 2 and what you thought about the release today. Anyway, thank you very much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Thank you, bye.